Oh, items. Quite possibly the wackiest update ABA has gotten in a long time. This update essentially turned the game into a glorified Roblox Smash Bros, which is ironic considering Project Smash exists. But were items a good addition? In my time of playing the game since the update, I was pretty happy that something like this was added, as I felt it finally gave public servers the chaos and casual nature that it's been missing for a long time. That being said, I've seen my fair share of people in disdain over this update, some even quitting public servers altogether. So, for this video, we're going to briefly go over each item, talk about what it added to the game, and what it took away from the game. Quick and simple video, as I don't think there's too much to talk about with items, so with nothing more to say... dying. Evidently, we need to go over each item to get a good idea on what you'll be facing. And for fun, I got a handy dandy tier list that I may as well throw in for fun. Anyway, items. Banhammer, A tier. High damage, annoying to fight, but pretty counterable if you can build some distance. The Holy Diary, A tier. Great gear for starting combos as it basically has no counterplay unless your enemy is able to trade a move and thwart your efforts. Fireball. If it wasn't for public server chaos, this item would be B tier, but otherwise C tier for irrelevance. Baseball Bat. B tier due to its fling and short range. High damage though. Mushroom. A tier item as the damage boost is insane. Points knocked off for the fact that your hitbox also becomes bigger. Superstar. A tier item for invincibility, but not S tier material due to its predictable nature and the fact you can block it. Speed Ring, B tier item, as you can easily keep a Speed Ring user at bay or make attacking you not worth it. The Jeep, S tier item, as the counterplay to this item is next to none, you're almost always guaranteed damage with it. The Dummy, or Awakening, S tier item, but only barely, as this item is worthless if you're already awakened. Bombs? B tier item. Even though it can cause massive damage, it's very situational. The Rocket, S tier item since it has no counterplay apart from guard break tanking. Everything the bomb is, but better. Medkit, A tier item. It heals a good chunk of health. What else is there to say? And finally, the Gear, S tier due to its nature and power. I don't think there's anything better than this. Now that we've got that out of the way, here's the tier list. This is my opinion, remember that. And it's time we go over the good that items have brought to the game. Now, depending on your outlook on this game, ABA is either a competitive game or a casual game. If you're wondering what that'll have to do with the video, nothing. I forgot why I wrote this part. Items are determined via map vote, where there is a chance either one or two maps will have item placements. The item placement varies across each map, which can change your approach to how you either fight or not fight. Some maps have 3 item spawns, some 4, and probably more or less, but I can't be bothered skimming through every singular map. You'll probably find yourself or a group of people just fighting over an item spawn point in hopes that they get literally anything from it, and that's kind of the charm items brought to this game. You could be facing away for a few seconds and suddenly there's a guy with a jeep running you and everyone else over. You could look to your left or right and spot an item that's absolutely worth picking up to cause some damage. You'll always be battling for an item because once you experience it once, you'll feel the absolute need to do it again. Trust me, it happens. Naturally, because public servers will be full of people, you don't have to worry about items screwing over the pace of the game as there'll always be someone to fight. That does mean you have to be that little extra bit cautious as you never know when someone can suddenly just have a bomb and blow you to kingdom come. But on the contrary, you could be that very person, so fair is fair. Also, items can be pretty damn funny. Items added variety to the gameplay and helped keep public servers from feeling stale, as it did get pretty boring just going in, fight, repeat. Don't get it twisted, items still contribute to that whole fight, but it does so in a way that just makes it fun. It makes it feel different and doesn't make it feel like you have to take things overtly serious just to get anywhere in a, casual environment. Something that some people don't understand. I liked being able to hop onto the game and see an item map because I knew I could use a random assortment of characters to see what damage I could inflict at them. And whether I won because of items or not doesn't change my enjoyment, nor did I ever feel like I didn't earn it, because who cares if I earned it or not? All I cared about was that I had fun, and fun goes a long way in a game like this. However, like all good things, there are bad. And depending on the type of server you're in, the majority will either vote for an item map every single time or stray away from it whenever possible. I so happen to have been put into the former, meaning my votes barely mattered in the grand scheme of things when it came to getting these maps. And don't you worry, there was absolutely no shortage of item maps in the slightest. Now, for whatever ungodly reason, the chances of item maps appearing seems to always be guaranteed. Hell, I call it a miracle if no item map appears, because 8 times out of 10, there's always 2, count them, 2 item maps. And this got on my nerves real quick. An item map appearing just completely invalidates that map you'd potentially have wanted to play on, reducing your voting option down to 2 maps or straight up 1 map. That's not fun. Nor is it very appealing to get screwed out of 2 whole maps unless you can swallow your pride. But hold on, pump the brakes. I was talking about how good items were and now I'm suddenly treating items like they're the plague. Well, what's with the switch up? It's simple. We call it consistency. What made public servers appealing to begin with is that you always knew, some way or another, you'd be able to get a battle out of it. Not all the time, but there are definitely times where you can have your moments and feel good because of it. Items broke that consistency, and not in a good way. Because paired together the absolute power that items have over a player and how often these item maps appear, and it feels less like you're fighting with your character and more like you're fighting in an item randomizer. You know the game Smash Bros, where you smash bros, something like that? You wanna know why, majority of the time, you'd be playing it, someone else playing it, YouTubers, family, etc. would be playing with items off? Consistency. We want our effort and skill to be of much greater value than that of watching someone get lucky and completely undermining that. Public servers aren't what we can call the higher echelon of skill, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be good at them. Items serve their fun until suddenly you're playing another item map, then another, then another, then another, it goes on. If item maps weren't so forced on almost every single goddamn map vote, this video wouldn't even be a thing. Because frankly, a change I'm sure would make a lot of people happy is just reducing the frequency of item maps. Going back to Smash Bros, whenever you and let's say a chum of yours wants to play purely for fun with no care for skill, you turn the items on and let hell break loose. Items work better as a palate cleanser, not the whole dish. It's funny seeing a guy go on a rampage with no cooldowns maybe 2 times before it gets annoying after the 10th time. And I think one point that is a bit interesting, but honestly probably isn't that deep, is that once people get too used to items, their whole playstyle is going to revolve around just farming for items and trying to do whatever they can to get these. It's great if items are played in modesty, but becomes waning after a while. And I suppose you could argue the same logic for public servers as a whole, but we're talking about items here. Keep your head on the same page. And something I hadn't remembered until I started writing this part is that there are going to be instances where your team is getting bombarded and nuked so much that you effectively get locked out of even using items, which can lead to the most egregious one-sided stomps imaginable. Is there a way to really counter this? Not really. Unless you get really lucky with your spawn, the moment this happens, you can get put at a monolithic disadvantage, and it can really make items feel like a stain muddying the game. You're either fighting tooth and nail for those items, or locked out of top scoring unless the spawns have consistently been bad throughout the entire match. And in an odd parallel to Kroo, now that Skill Hunter is bugged, losing to luck is never going to leave a good taste in someone's mouth, and I highly doubt it does for you guys either. Hello, it's future me here. So, turns out Kroo's Skill Hunter was actually fixed. So, what I just said is completely irrelevant. So I think a more fitting comparison to make would be the RNG with Ragnar's, freezing. So it's like, it's not fun losing to a Ragnar because they use Dragon Hunting Flash, and either that happened, you get knocked away, or you get frozen. Just giving the Ragnar a completely free combo on the spot. So yeah, losing to RNG, not very fun. But what if we could live in a fantasy world for a brief moment? where I, and you guys, but mainly I because I can't read or see the future, and I did say this earlier but I'm going to give it a bit more detail, item maps should either be limited in appearances, say something like only appearing every 5th map vote where 2 options are guaranteed to be item maps. If they get voted, then you play an item map and then item maps are forbidden from showing up for the next 5 votes. This does come with the drawback of item maps basically never being played ever again, which is why my second solution is a bit of an odd one but probably better. Have one singular item map appear in every single vote, but once that item map actually gets chosen, it can't show up until maybe the 5th or 6th map vote. So that way, you'll always have that option for goofed up gameplay, but won't be spammed with it after playing it. Remember the term consistency? That's basically all I'm trying to do with map items. Bring them into a consistency so that they feel like a natural part of the game. Something akin to Juggernaut without being spammed in every vote, 10 votes in a row. Which is rich considering Juggernaut sometimes does that.
Man, they're just one-shots!
Anyway, that's my short take on items. Sorry for the delay as I was hit by a pretty foul sickness, but I've got a few solid ideas down the line to hopefully make up for this. Regardless, if you enjoyed, subscribe, comment your thoughts on items or something funny. And yeah,